captivated all of America with a divorce spectacle in Philadelphia. Then, he went to America's team.
Right now, to the fans, all I can say is get your popcorn ready. Because it's going to be a show.
The same fans who were livid about him having the audacity to step on that star at midfield, all of a sudden they love him. Because as they were telling me, what he does off the field doesn't matter.
He's just trying to win just like everybody else. He just comes with some different antics, some different fun, different demeanor. So as long as you're here to win games, we can care less.
I've seen players that have made some wrong decisions, but yet really come in and be great teammates, leaders.
Great route, 81.
I think he's in the top 5 of the players that I've been around since I've been the Cowboys in 20 years.
Not everyone fell for Owens' charm.
Bill didn't want the interruptions. He didn't want it to be just about one player.
Hey, you can get that jersey right here in the pro shop. In the pro shop.
He didn't call him Terrell, he called him the player.
That's the only decision I'm qualified to make. I'm just glad that the player seems to be okay.
Prior to me coming there, Keyshawn was there. That was his guy that had some years with the New York Jets. Then it was Jerry's say to bring me in, knowing that I had more to offer than Keyshawn. I just tried to find my way to try to make light of the situation. While we were at practice and we couldn't practice, we had to ride this bike constantly. I'm like, really? But these were his rules. So wasn't trying to be insubordinate, being creative as I am. I took it upon myself to get me a racing jacket and one of those hats. And I wore it out to practice and rode the cycle. Everybody had a kick out of it, except for Bill Parcels.
3 weeks into the season, no one was laughing.
I need ambulance, please, immediately. I think he took teammates to kill.
We, of course, want to update you on that breaking news story. That is the attempted suicide by Dallas Cowboys receiver Terrell Owens, who may have overdosed on prescription drugs.
Just a reaction to some medication and some supplements that I had been taking. It's very unfortunate for the reports to go from an allergic reaction to a definite suicide attempt.
Thank you.
Dude, I mean, anybody that knows me, I love me some me. So, other than that, that's all I can tell you.
Owens and the Cowboys got off to a rocky start. But when Bill Parcells turned to new starting quarterback Tony Romo midway through the season, it became a match made in heaven.
Touchdown! That's why they got rid of you, Keyshawn.
We were making some noise, you know. We was making some string music.
Give me that little dimple and I'm ready to go. Give me that dimple and I'm ready to go.
We care about each other. We want to win, not just for individuals, but for the team. You know, Tio understands that his success is directly related to mine and mine's to his.
Oh, merciful heavens, what a throw and catch that in.
I care about the guy because he wants to win and he works hard. I mean, it's easy to like guys like that.
In 2007, Owens flourished, setting a Cowboys single-season record with 15 receiving touchdowns.
Start pouring the molds for the statue. Goodness gracious heavens.
Stay on. I'm with it. Stay on. I want to be the best out there. You are.
Dallas was 13-3 and a Super Bowl favorite. When they lost in the playoffs,
It is intercepted at the post.
it was Owens who came to Romo's defense.
It's my team. It's my quarterback. And if you guys do that, man, it's unfair.
The show of emotion, it was my love for him as a person, as a teammate, and I really meant that.
But for the third time, what started out as a blissful honeymoon would once again end in a bitter divorce.
We're coming off 13-3. We're almost expecting nothing less than a 12-4 season that year.
The Cowboys have been anything but sharp, and offensively, they just have not gotten it done on any level.
By mid-November of 2008, Owens was averaging only 50 yards a game.
You can't obtain that championship if I'm not involved in the offense.
If you have the numbers, the championship gonna come.
It's not that I can't play. It's the system of which I'm in.
Hey, he wanted to help the team as much as he could, and he felt like he could do it if we'd get him the ball more. And he was right in some instances.
Very few people
had his skills. And for some reason, that just wasn't enough. So when he wasn't catching 13 balls for 181 yards, it had to be somebody's fault.
And then, Romo, he had his, Witten became his BFF.
Are they trying to adjust anything with you to help you get more involved in the game?
That's not a question that I need to be answering.
We've watched them huddle up, kind of diagramming stuff. And Terrell simply said one day, hey, Ro, let's all of us get involved on this so we're all on the same page so we can win games. In any business, you always have to have a fall guy and a scapegoat. And it was a lot easier for him to be the fall guy than to look at everyone else because of his history.
I understand that he had issues in San Francisco, and they might not have been his. And I understand that he had issues in Philadelphia, and they might not have been his. And I understand that he had issues with the Cowboys, and they might not have been his. But in my world, if every time you go someplace there's a problem, maybe you're the problem.
Despite his slow start, Owens finished the year with over 1,000 receiving yards. But the Cowboys failed to make the playoffs.
He thought he was bulletproof. Well, nobody's bulletproof.
We're going to the off season, and I talked to Jerry, and we went into this little restaurant. He gets out a pen, and he draws a line down the middle of the table. He wrote Tony Romo's name on this side, wrote my name over here, and then he wrote the team over here, and he wrote something else over here, and he said, you're over here, Romo, organization, Cowboys over here. He said, we got to part ways. Is Ashton Kutcher in here? Is this, we getting pumped? He's like, wait a minute, can we talk about this? And that was pretty much the extent. I was like, no, this is where we are. That was it.
What's next for T.O.? Owens spent the 2009 season with the Bills. The following year, he played for the Bengals. He hasn't appeared in an NFL game since.
I'm 41 and still can play.
What?
You don't think he'll ever
Play again? Play again? He's not going to play again. Is that what he wants to do?
I haven't officially retired, so, I'm still a viable option. Whether that's realistic or not in a lot of people's minds, I'll let them think what they want to think.
I've always thought that he could be one of those guys when the playing career is over with, which it is, that could get into the movies, acting, that kind of stuff. Because with his smile, he can move mountains, all right? If he can just stay away from all the other stuff, I'm still rooting for him.
Whatever it is, it's passion behind it. And right now, I'm working on my own clothing line. I've always thought I looked good. And no matter what, even in a wet paper bag.
As you can see, I am fly. I am red carpet ready.
He's a fashion guy. Now, you learned that from Jerry. Jerry was meticulous how he dressed.
Jerry Rice taught me about looking sweet. I'm dressed sweet, too.
That has a lot to do with my mom. She used to make our outfits when we were little. And so I have this affection for fashion. My own clothing line. It's called Prototype. Prototype 81. You spell the word prototype, you can't spell it without T.O.
You almost look like Belichick in there.
So this is the same thing.
Fashion suits Owens, but he was never a good fit for a team.
I often wished that some light would go on where he says, I can't say everything that I want to say. I need to be a good guy once in a while. I need to get along. I need to be a better teammate.
With him personally, it probably comes from just, I think, the way, starting from early childhood, growing up, no one ever knows the steps and the lives people take when they're coming up. So you never know what kind of heartbreak they have to deal with.
There was a lot of unanswered questions, that I really kind of asked myself, but the only person, the people that could, was my mom and my dad. There's a lot I missed out on. And it hurt.
After so many years, you don't talk about it. Terrell have peace within himself about it.
It was a weight lifted off my shoulder that I carried throughout my football career. I knew that there was a reason why I was the way I was.
Owens is now trying to be the father he never had.
Oh, yeah. Good job, good job. You get better. I like it.
I'm the #1 dad in the world.
For what? You need to be trying to shoot. Quit. How many times you gonna dunk in a game?
Me actually being in that situation, you kind of understand what that feels like and what that means. In the lives of my kids, I want to be a better father.
I was in.
Staying inside the lines has never been easy for Owens. It made him a great receiver, but it also alienated him from some of his teammates.
Out of the big four quarterbacks that he played with, Romo, McNabb, Garcia, and yourself, you're the only one to agree to an interview.
Oh, really?
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. He's not going to help you bridge that understanding gap, and so it's up to you to kind of try to figure that out.
It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time.
Because I saw him early, I can have context for where it went.
Hey, every player should have one of these. This is how you beat the heat.
A guy who could have been great, wanted to be individually great. It doesn't work. It never works. Unfortunately for him, that's the way he's always going to be remembered.
It's a waste of time to try to explain to somebody who you are when they already have a committed misunderstanding about who you are. So why bother?
For him, it was always binary. You're with me or you're against me. You know, it makes for great theater, but it also makes for a lot of broken glass. But that's how talented he is. He could have all that broken glass and still be one of the great receivers of all time.
Double coverage, it doesn't matter. The guy's a superstar. He is as close to being unstoppable as any receiver I've seen. He is a force.
Maybe people that have followed my story, have followed my career, can see some inspiration in that.
Can I get a little piece of the action? Ain't over here. Okay, that's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear.
I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. But when I look back on my life, I see a lot of pain and I see a lot of heartache. But at the end of the day, when I look in the mirror, I see a lot of persistence. I see strength. And I see pride in myself.
To me,